YouTube, what's going on? I have a little bit of a mess here in the. I don't know what I would call this. It's not a wrecking yard, but it probably should be. Got a pretty interesting idea with that we'll get to in just a minute. Just gonna take a look at a few cars here. Dodge Charger, the Primer, Chevelle, the unofficial Fast and Furious release from Greenlight. That thing is proper, as is that. For sure, this thing is proper. Dude. That thing is just killer. That thing's pretty killer as well. Little AMC Javelin. Love the stance on that car. Love the color too. That is a OEM color for this car. Very nice casting. Anyways, I've been toying around with the idea of something. In order to do it, I had to butcher the Bronco, the Volkswagen, and the Dodge. So what I'm going with here, well, there's another truck that was butchered too for that push bar there. Or it's not a push bar, it's a brush guard. But we've got the shovel, the pickaxe, we've got some KC lights, we've got the rack and a spare tire. And I'm going to do myself a little custom. So if you guys are on Instagram, please check that picture I posted, because there's really 6 options, and I think any of the 6 would look awesome. I'm going to need some help though from Custom 164 farm trucks. So we'll see what happens with it, but I'm going to do it for sure. Just a matter of which one am I going to do. I really think the Bronco needs it. I think that's the one that would look the best, but I mean, the International Scout would look pretty dope as well. With a lift. I guess a better example of it would be this one. So if that little tan Scout had this suspension and these tires, I think that would just look so killer. And getting the lift done is something I think I can get done with the help of a buddy of mine in Texas. Actually, he's the one that transformed that Ford Bronco, which, if you compare it to the stock version, it's amazing what a stance and wheels and tires will do. I mean, as similar as they look like totally different cars. Totally different castings, I should say. Totally different brands. That looks very much like a Greenlight with that stance and those tires. Obviously, those wheels and tires are Greenlight, which helps contribute to that. It's just kind of mind-boggling to me that round 2 who is one of the best brands in diecast, would put all of this detail. They would just load this thing up with all kinds of authentic detail. Very, very good quality detail. But then they would throw these horrible wheels and tires on this thing. And you can see a little bit of a casting issue. Thing looks like it's loading a haul of bricks. And that is not the case. It's just the way the base is. So it's a shame, but when you just do put a little bit of work into it, you can definitely correct it. And the casting is so nice that it's worth doing it. You know, I've said many times on the channel that I like to keep my castings stock and I don't like drilling them and tearing them up and all that kind of stuff. But I have, I think, 6 of these Broncos, and I'm going to do it to all 6 of them because they're not even worth displaying when they look like this. But when they look like that, they are very much worth displaying. The only problem with doing it is you have to find wheels and tires to do it. So, you know, for me to do that, it's going to cost me 6 Greenlight trucks, but it's worth it. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. By the way, if you're wondering, or if you haven't seen before, this Impala right here is a Greenlight casting. It's an older Greenlight casting, and it's very well done. One of the nicest late 60 model Impalas, in my opinion, that I've seen in 1:64 scale. I personally think this one is nicer than all of the Auto World ones that I've seen. Just from a detail standpoint, build quality, detail, wheels and tires. There's not many cars that Greenlight does, that Greenlight and Auto World both do, that I think Greenlight does a better job. Because in the grand scheme of things, I think Auto World does a much better job. But you will find a Greenlight casting here and there that I think is much nicer than its Auto World counterpart. And this is definitely one of them. And I think this is a 67. Yeah, it's a 67, so the closest that Auto World has is the 66. The body styles are pretty similar. But none of the Auto Worlds look this good. That's not to say that they couldn't. They definitely... Auto World should do a stock and custom. Some aftermarket wheels and some aftermarket paint. I think it would actually serve that brand well to do that. Anyways, so yeah, the Safari rack came off of that orange Volkswagen van, and that spare tire I just had laying around. But basically, I'm just going to build the Safari rack. I'm going to put these KC lights across the front of it. I'm going to mount the shovel on one side and the pickaxe on the other side. And I'm going to put that brush guard on the front bumper. So tomorrow, on my list of things to do, one of them is to make a trip to Walmart to get a pair of tweezers and some super glue. It should be pretty easy to do, being that I don't have to make anything. It's all here, ready to go. The only other thing I kind of want is like a fire extinguisher. But, oh well. Another one that I think would look really good with it is this Blazer, but it would definitely need the lift treatment first. And I hate chopping up these Greenlight or these Johnnies because they're like this model in particular is kind of a pricey one, but I think that would look really good with the lift. These Broncos, they work really well to do the lift because that part of the axle. Well, here I'll show you the one that's not done. You can see on the base where the axles are is nice and flat. So it's perfect for doing it. Basically what he does is he just has this little tubing and he just glues the tubing to the base and then you just run the axle through it. You don't have to drill the you don't have to drill the base off to do it. That's another reason I like doing it this way is you just pull the wheels and tires off and you keep the base attached to the body and then you just glue the tubing on there and you're all set. Get an awesome looking truck like this, which will be even awesomer with the safari rack and the KC lights and this thing, which happens to fit. It fits it perfectly. It's just going to be a matter of getting it attached. That came off of a Greenlight Ford F100. So it fits pretty much all of these. I've test fitted it to. Another one I think would look good is this Grand Wagoneer. This is another one that I'm kind of contemplating. The brush guard, I thought the brush guard would be too wide for that, but it's actually not. So this Bronco and this Wagoneer are probably my top two choices, and then I think probably the Scout. That's pretty long for the Scout though. Covers like the whole top. But if the Scout was lifted, I think that would look awesome. So who knows? I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I was also thinking it would be cool to have a Baja van. So it'd be cool to lift one of these vans and then do the safari rack on the van. I think that would look cool too. But if I am going to do that, I'm certainly not going to do it with this van. These older Dodge B100s sometimes can be hard to find. Plus, I think if you're going to do a Baja van, I think the G20 might look better. But it's a cargo van, so I think I might almost rather do this one. I don't know. But I do think it would be cool to have an off-road 4x4 van. These are some of my favorite wheels Greenlight has ever done. I wish they would use these wheels on a lot of these all-terrain vehicles they're putting out. It's like these wheels on these came on a all-terrain Bronco. These wheels here, I think, look really good, but some of the wheels on some of those all-terrain vehicles don't look that good to me. Here's an example. I'm actually going to use these for one of the other Broncos that I'm going to lift, just because I don't have much of a choice. Yeah, but these wheels, just like this one here, looks great. It looks pretty spot on. But this one here is how most of them end up looking and you can see it's just all the chrome is flashing. I'd have to go in there and clean that up. It looks like there might be a hole or two that need to be poked out. And of course, whoops, full-size spare. You can see I popped those KC lights off of there, and I will put them across the front of the safari rack. That's going to be the hardest part, getting those things glued on there. There's no way I can do it without tweezers, because those little KC lights are tiny. They're very small. So while we have all these cars out, let's take a look at a few more of them. This is a pretty cool Bronco here. This can only be found in a Hollywood film reel. I forget which one it is, but I think it's lost. It's a really cool little truck. These wheels. These are some of my other favorite Greenlight wheels. Greenlight does some really nice wheels. Most of the time, when they want to. And of course, there's this. This is a newer addition to my collection, actually. Just got this just a month ago when I was in Tucson at the toy show. Nice little car for $5. It is a hobby exclusive, so it's nice that I didn't have to break the bank to get it. I think you can find these online for 10 or so shipped. But this is an anniversary Chevy Corvette. And while it may not look like it at first glance, this thing has an insane amount of detail. That if you get it in person, you start looking over it, and it is very impressive, the amount of detail that goes into this thing. Need to get some light over here. That looks like a good angle. Look at that front end. That is killer. I've got a few of these early Corvettes from Greenlight. They have actually two different toolings. I think this is the more recent body style. I think this is a third gen Corvette. I could be wrong on that. Third or fourth. But there was another Stingray that had a similar body style that Greenlight did. They have quite a few Corvette toolings, actually. Actually, I should probably do a video on that because it's probably one of the cars where they have the most toolings or most different body styles, even though they don't release the Corvettes all that often. I'd say it's the Mustang is probably, I would say, hands down, the car that they have the most different toolings of. But the Corvette is probably up there. Because, I mean, they've got at least 3 or 4 early Corvette toolings, and then they've got another at least 2 or 3 late model. And what other cars? I think that's probably it for as far as like multiple toolings go. The Camaro, they only have 3 toolings. Although they are bringing out the 67, 68, 69. By the way, they released on ZA3, they released the photos of the test castings for the Ford Dually and the Volkswagen Wagon. They look great. More awesome stuff on the way from Greenlight. Alright, I've been looking at that thing for a long time. It's a pretty awesome little car to look at. This Bronco's pretty dope too. I really dig this one with that livery. Anyways, tell me what you guys think. I don't think I'm going to do the van. At least not this time around. But should I do the Grand Wagoneer? Or the Bronco? Or the Scout? Or the Blazer? I'm definitely leaning towards this one. When the thought first crossed my mind to do it, this was the truck that I had in mind. So I'm willing to listen to opinions, but I really think it's just going to be that one. Anyways, that's the video. Happy Saturday night. You all have a good Sunday. Happy hunting. And I guess I'll holler at you all at the next video.